Guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be rounding up the NHL and covering lots of stuff. Dylan Larkin has not yet been traded. Steve Yzerman came out and said publicly that Dylan Larkin has 5 years more on his contract, which makes it not so certain that he's going to be traded. Here, I'll pull up the exact quote. The quote is, Dylan has 5 years remaining on his contract. I can't make any guarantees. Unlike most scenarios where you have a no-move clause, Larkin has no leverage. He might if he gave a longer trade list, but when you give 3 teams and you have 5 years left on your contract, you can't expect to get traded. Also, I did think Detroit was going to get something done before the draft, so I do wonder if Larkin will get traded. If he doesn't, that could create an awkward room. But now moving on to my Leafs and well, obviously, Gavin McKenna is the game breaker here that they got in the draft, the first-line guy, the superstar. But then they got Ethan McKenzie, who I really like, even though he went undrafted last year. Such a good season, he was going to go high. And I don't mind him projecting into, like, a third-pair role as an early third. And then in the early third, a guy like Zach Olsen, he has so much intensity to his game. So I don't mind that pick. I think that was a pretty good pick, maybe a little later than Olsen should have went. And then Patrick Plumans, the Latvian goalie, had a great season and was great at U18, so I like that for such a late pick. And I don't think they made any big reaches. So honestly, I'm going to have to give Trika a thumbs up on the draft. Now, I haven't covered a lot of NHL trades, so I figured I'd cover most of them in this video. So, first we got here, John Carlson, a big one, to Anaheim. Anaheim just gets a 6th-round pick in Masters. Again, that's better than nothing in the sign-and trade, and that just made Carolina even deeper after already winning the Cup. They know they're going to have to compete with Florida. Ivan, Fabian Lysell, just a player swap. Adam Enstrom, 5th-round pick. Maximo Rizio. And then there's the Carlo trade. This is really making Tree Living look bad for the original Carlo deal. And then Vegas gets a 3rd to move down, which ended up loving for Vegas because they got Pimparainen. Detroit traded Kosa for that pick. I didn't love the Hurlburt pick, but we knew Kosa was going to get traded. For Utah, they already have Michael Herb. I think it is. So we'll have to see what they think with 2 good goalie prospects. Then there's McTavish. St. Louis had so many picks, and I do think that's a massive overpayment for McTavish still. And Anaheim didn't really want him. Where am I? Rangers get Dorofeyev for some picks in the sign-in trade. That's actually a lot for a sign-in trade, or maybe wasn't quite they didn't sign him. It's still a lot, though, for a guy who's set to be a free. I guess he's an RFA, though, to be fair. Vegas clears up some cap. Peterka wasn't a great fit in Utah. Burakovsky. I'm trying to get to the big ones. Zellweger. Nice trade for both teams. Anaheim's was clogged. Buffalo needed a D. Yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan in Erskine. Ottawa need a backup goalie. Brett Bernard, William Trudeau, I'm not going to give you an opinion. Same with Declan Chisholm for a 4th. Same with Hunter McCone for Luke Tuck. Same with the 5th for the Natushkin trade. I really wanted to cover 2nd and a 3rd and a 5th. I feel like that's not enough value for Natushkin, although Colorado was kind of just trying to clear up some cap. Pittsburgh for Lapierre. Lapierre could be a decent bottom 6er. Washington couldn't give him the ice time he needed. Maybe Garnet Hathaway and a 6th to Florida. Florida's really trying to get physical on that 4th line. Jackson Drury, Colorado, again, clearing up some more cap in that trade. Alex Tuck, I'm not a big fan of the $10.5 million contract, although I do like Washington improving their wing depth. I like that part. So if I made the initial reaction before the draft, I would have told you this is horrible for Buffalo. They dumped Jordan Greenway. Or horrible for Chicago. They dumped Jordan Greenway, Buffalo. And Boyd Byram, who wasn't going to re-sign next summer. and who's not that good for the 4th overall pick. He's not bad. It's just not the 45th, which is pretty high, and Luis Crever. Although considering they took Daxton Rudolph, a guy I'm not quite as high on, to me, that's like the value of more like a mid-first. So that makes the value down, although Buffalo, I guess, got their guy. Again, I like Washington improving their wing depth here. St. Louis needed a center, and they could acquire even more draft capital. I really like this trade. It allowed San Jose to end up getting Stenberg and the defenseman, and then Ottawa got the winger and Eklund they need. And then the last trade that went on that we didn't cover because we covered Brady the Truck on the channel, Nemec got a big haul. I get where Calgary's coming from, but they didn't really need a right-handed defenseman, and that's a big haul for Simon Nemec. So I definitely New Jersey didn't need him, so I think New Jersey won this trade. That's all for the NHL Roundup. Peace out!